How are you, Ann?
I am doing okay. It's a good Friday here. The weather's beautiful, and yeah, I'm just ready for the weekend. How are you?
Wait, why only okay? Okay is usually getting my other bag here. Okay is like not the best response, right? It's like average.
Yeah, I would say I don't want to talk about it today because other podcasts we've talked about my injuries, but my shoulder thing has turned into more of a neck injury. So I have some discs
Oh,
out. So I am just in a lot of pain. So that's kind of where I am. I'm on some medication and I'm waiting for an MRI. So I don't want to make it the highlight. I'm trying to get through the rest of life while ignoring it, but it's been a really tough week. Not gonna lie.
um, you are just hitting injury after injury this
I'm
year,
going
in the
through
back
it.
half of the year.
I'm going through it. Yep, there's something here that's going on. So, yeah, dealing with
Well,
that.
no pain, no gain.
Exactly. I
That's how I
know.
see it.
So the shoulder actually is was fine. It was not dislocated or anything. I had x-rays done. The shoulder is good to go. It's deferred pain from my neck. So my discs C5 and C6 are out and bulging
Mm.
and it's going down my shoulder and nerve pain through my arm. So let me tell you, nerve pain is no joke. That's just it is crazy the amount of coping with nerve pain. So that's kind of where I am. I've been here all week. I'm actually doing better than I did on Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday were really hard. My husband drove me to the doctor, and I just have been having to advocate for myself. I just keep calling because they send the MRI in, and I'm waiting for them to call me. So I just keep calling them. I'm just going to annoy the hell out of them, you know?
With nerve pain, so I had shingles when I was 20,
Hmm.
and shingles is like nerve pain, but you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And it's all over so it was all over my back, and then
Okay.
it spread through my eye.
Ooh.
Basically, any pressure is like you touch it, just like a super light touch would
Yeah.
probably be like, um, how do I describe the pain? Like, well, my wife got bit by a bullet ant, and I think that was pretty close to it. So like,
Yikes.
it's worse than a bee sting. I'll say it like that. It's worse than a bee sting. It's worse than like stubbing your toe really hard.
Hmm.
Um, Trying to think. I would say, I would say you have a really sharp knife, and then maybe you go 1 centimeter deep, and you twist really slowly,
Mm.
and that's the whole pain in my entire back for like a week or two.
Oh my gosh.
So it's really hard to sleep.
Yeah. What did you
Um,
do? What was your
you,
pain management?
you just deal with it. I mean, what are you gonna?
Hmm.
What else are you gonna do? It's nerve pain.
Yeah.
So it's shingles derives from the chickenpox virus. It's the same virus. It's
Yeah.
evolved form. Um, and yeah, you just deal with it. So my eyesight was damaged because of it, because it's all nerve connected. So eyesight was damaged a little bit. So I have like some weird refractions on one of these eyes. I forgot
Oh,
which one.
interesting.
I had glasses to fix it. So like before, I was always wearing glasses, but they were generally balanced. And then what happened is over the years, because one eye was really bad, both of them, I am now super long sighted, and one is super short sighted in the other.
Wow.
And what happened is once you have that imbalance, they just keep getting worse. Well, they just keep happening like that, and then they go into this like weird one. So
That's crazy.
yeah, nerve pain is no
Interesting.
joke.
Nerve pain is yeah, I've never experienced it at this level, and I will say like the daily coping is kind of insane. I lost my shit on Tuesday and just sobbed, and the pain was so bad. It was worse than labor. I've had 3 kids naturally, and I kept telling Trent, I was like, this is so much worse than even labor naturally. Like I just can't. And he's like, holy shit. So we waited too long. I should have gotten to the doctor sooner, but
So this is a great question that I kind of just thought up out of this. So what is the equivalent pain in business? Because there's always like different types of pain,
mm-hmm,
but nerve pain and that level of pain is on a totally different scale.
mm-hmm.
What in your history, in your career, had that same, very similar pain? And
Um, I actually don't think I've experienced that level of pain in business to this degree. I would say a pain point in business for me is when you are doing all of the right things that you think you should be doing. You're marketing, you're sending out social content, you're, keeping your website updated. You're doing the things that you know to do, right? That you're being told to do. You're emailing, you're making people aware, you're networking, and there's nothing in the funnel. When you are the
Mhm.
generator of your business leads and you're doing all of the things and there's just nothing, it's a dead zone. That is a high pain point of mine because I say, okay, well, I'm focusing on input. I'm focusing on what I'm supposed to be doing. Where's the output?
But that's death by a thousand cuts, right? You don't get there tomorrow, right? It's not
Right.
acute.
Right.
Um, so like I can share like one or two things. So
Yeah.
the one thing that really sticks in my mind is we raised money. This was a previous startup. We raised money from an investor. It was quite a bit of money, and it was from an angel investor. Took a while to close. Once we closed it, and what happened was we were using the money based on how we told the investor, but then our performance wasn't working really well.
Mm-hmm.
And this investor was tied to our next round. So this was like kind of like a seed round or a bridge round. And we were trying to get to the next round, which could be Series A or could be like somewhere between seed and Series A.
Okay.
And we were contingent on this guy. Like we actually turned down a couple other offers, or at least like maybe like preferred this person over other folks, just because of where we wanted to go. And anyway, performance in our business started stagnating and tanking, and there's a lot of reasons why. But basically, this investor came to be like 2 months later. It was like, "What the heck are you guys doing with my money?"
Mm.
I don't know if you ever watched. What is it's not Margin Call. There's another movie. So it is three or four different groups of people that handle the recession. I don't know if this had Steve Carell in it, I believe. Yeah, it had Steve Carell in it and a few other
Hmm.
ones. And anyway, there's a guy in there that was in a very similar situation. He had a bunch of investor money and he made a big bet that the housing market was going to tank. But this was before it tanked. So he was basically losing millions of dollars every week or every month,
Wow.
as the market looks great, but his investment's tanking because he's shorting the market, right? So the spread is getting larger and larger.
Sure.
And his investors are just yelling at him. Lawyers go into his office and be like, "Where's my money?" That was very similar to a situation I was in the past with my startup and raising. And that
Okay.
pain is basically it's usually when you get when we were both injured, right? You kind of drop everything and you focus on the injury.
Right.
That was very much like this. The second you have the investor and you have lawyers and you're talking with them, and
Mm-hmm.
they come to you and be like, "Hey, what are you doing with my money? If you guys are mismanaging, I want it back." Once you
Yeah.
get in that situation, you drop everything.
Yeah.
Everything you drop, and that is the number one focus. That's when I know it's like it's very similar level of pain because
Uh-huh.
everything has to go away for a
It
bit.
does. Yeah. Yeah, that makes
Um,
sense.
that was super painful.
Uh-huh.
We kind of got through it. Now the company, fast forward a few years, didn't work out, but we did
Mm.
get through that. We did get through that event. But that was probably the most painful situation I've been in.
Did
And
they ever
then,
use any type of threats to get their money back with you?
yeah, once you lawyer up you have a guy who's at least worth has liquid cash of $1 million plus
Okay.
in his portfolio. Like he's liquid. He can dispose $1 million right away if he
Okay.
needed to.
Sure.
And he's got a lawyer, and now your email chain has a lawyer involved.
Yeah.
Not right. It has nothing to do with threats. It was more of like we can't afford. We could afford a lawyer, but we're just going to waste the investor's money to hire a lawyer,
Sure.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And like that person, like, what are we going to do? We're a small company,
Yeah.
and like we need the money to, we already hired some key folks, and like they're W-2 full time with benefits. It's like, what are we going to do if we have
Yeah.
to return this money?
What was the outcome of that? What happened?
We just had to convince. So basically, we renegotiated the deal and changed it to half of it to like we got to repay it as a loan.
Oh, okay.
So like we were able to say like we were able to say some of it because he was getting cold feet basically.
Mm-hmm.
And now in hindsight, that was probably the right call
Yeah.
because the company didn't work out. But
What was the company doing? What
we're
were
doing
you doing?
music distribution. Um,
Oh,
so
okay.
so an artist would come on and they could just it's very similar to DistroKid.
Okay.
They would upload music to our platform. We distribute to like Apple, Spotify,
Oh, cool.
um, all these like other um, distributors. And then we
So you've
also
been in
did like Facebook
distribution for a while, digital distribution. You have been around the block.
It's just like one chapter. I wouldn't say it's like yeah. I've been
Did you
around the
hear how
block
I
for a while.
slurred that? Digital distribution. That's kind of hard to say.
I think you said it perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah. We're
So
on painkillers here, Matt. This is where we are today.
there's nothing wrong with that, especially in your situation. So
Yeah.
um, I actually can't take painkillers because I have a skin condition and like
Oh.
painkillers like make my skin condition like super red. So it's
Oh
like okay, I
no.
just deal with pain.
Wow. So your pain
Yeah.
tolerance is just through the roof.
I mean, it's very similar to business and
Yeah.
all the other things. Like, yeah, I don't
Just
really.
handle it.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, actually I use it as a signal. It's like, okay, if there's pain, it's usually a good thing. That's how
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah.
When there's nothing going on, I get too comfortable.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, you said so there were two situations you said that were painful. So that was one. What was the other situation in business?
the other one is a big client. So not as painful, but very similar. Where this was when I ran an agency long, like even before that, I was like
Hmm.
26, 27. I ran a small agency, and like we were like pretty contingent on a big client, making really a lot of money, and they were just unhappy with our services.
What were your services? What did the
We were
agency do?
doing enterprise level, like I would just say enterprise level web development.
Okay.
It's not, our output was serving a marketing need, so I kind of see it as like just glorified website. But back then, you could charge like $1 million for a website for
Hmm.
price. So you might
Yeah.
be able to do it today, but anyway, they were so big, we had to cater a lot to them, and
Yep.
then just what happened was they just want to demand more. They're expecting maybe a similar caliber of enterprise communication or enterprise support
Mm.
matches what their expectations. Like they knew they were a small company,
Yeah.
and we were already cheaper than what the other folks were bidding. So they
Okay.
know like we were smaller, but we were more performant, and we were cheaper. We
Okay.
were more hungry, right? We're all in our 20s. We were way more
Yeah.
hungry for the gig. So anyway, we closed it, and like what was happening was it was supposed to be one of those like 2-year things, but our contract was only 6 months. It was like it was kind of renew every 6 months
Hmm.
for up to 2 years, and that was in just another situation where they were just demanding everything from us,
Yeah.
like everything, and then we had other clients, so we couldn't do anything. Like, okay, you just hire for it, but it's not that simple because we were doing enterprise tech. So think like SAP or Adobe stuff, and
Oh,
like
sure.
that stuff. Like you can't just hire off the street, right? You got to
No.
really know it, and you got to have a developer who can communicate back to the client really well.
Yeah.
It's very hard to hire for those very highly specialized needs. Back in
Agreed.
like 2016.
You just brought up a story actually I do want to share. This is really important in business. This is actually going to be a good story. A big pain point of mine was a client. It was also a very large retainer client of mine. This was a few years ago. And the client, I'm going to just say all of these different things about them, but they were very disorganized internally. So
Hmm.
our point person was always different or changing, or the point person didn't actually have the information we needed. And so it would go to someone else, but it would change by situation. So we would try to get answers and try to move quickly on things, but it was tough to get answers. And so they would agree to the contract, they would agree to the billing, they would agree to everything. And then we would move through the months of work, and there was some gaslighting involved, which was very interesting because I had never experienced that before. So I actually sat in an abusive relationship far too long before I fired them as a client.
Hmm.
But I didn't realize the work that we were doing I think gaslighting was a part of my upbringing. And so I was pretty cozy and familiar with it. So I didn't really understand that it was going on in my work environment. But what was hard is they were a wonderful client, but then they would almost like it was, where they'd kind of stab you with a smile type of thing, and you didn't really
Oh,
understand. And so they
yeah.
were a great client. We had great rapport. We had, like coffee check-in chats. I mean, they were lovely. But then when it came to work, I didn't realize that with my team and me, I was getting feedback, and they're saying that we didn't do this, but we did, or they're saying that we didn't do it to their liking. Now they're asking us to do, 4 more hours of work, but not bill them for it because we didn't do it, and all these things. And I was like, wait, what is happening here? It was really sneaky, and it went on for months and months and months. And it was a great partnership. It was great money. I was keeping people busy on my team, which is always a priority of mine, is to give people opportunity to work. So it was really difficult because I had to cut through so much bullshit, and because I had to really take a step back and say, are we being gaslit?
Hmm.
What is it? Are we really not delivering and performing? And then I had to go through and audit everybody's work, and then I had to be involved in everything. So the micromanagement that was going on that normally I don't have, right? I trust my people. I have a great team of contractors. I would give them the project, bring them on client facing. We'd have meetings. I'd be very visible, and CC'd on everything. But all of a sudden that wasn't good enough, or the client was saying things that weren't happening. And so then just the ability of me to try and keep that contract when really months and months I should have ended it far sooner. That was a very hard pain point because I had lots of other clients running at that time. It was a very busy year. I was also consulting. So I was doing white label consulting as myself. I was running a huge revamp of the Floor Coverings International customer journey through their email program. So all their communications from start to finish of the customer journey at Floor Coverings, I was rewriting it. So I was spending a lot of my time there as a consultant. And then I was also running agency clients with my team. And this was one of those. And so it was just
Hmm.
this time when I remember I had so much going on. I was working literally 30 billable hours a week, which is rare when you're in my position running an agency. You usually don't have all of your time being billable. A lot of times you're just working for free. And maybe if you can get half of those hours every week, actual billable time on the client, you're doing well. But most of my hours, I'm running logistics for a company and for people and, traffic control and all those things, not just my billable hours. So it was really fascinating to me how we let that go for so long. And because it was great work and because we were getting applauded the whole way, yet we were being gaslit and we were being taken advantage of, and it was wearing down my people. And at some point, I don't remember when the breaking point was, but I had this aha, and I had this really hard conversation. And they were trying to get more work out of me for less and almost nothing. I mean, for literally
Hmm.
almost nothing. At that point, it had kind of dwindled down, and I had to have a really hard conversation with them. Um, that was really uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. And then finally, in the end, I said, this isn't a good fit. I'm actually not going to do any more work with you guys. And they were shocked. I don't know if anyone has put them in their place. They've always fired agencies, and that should have been my red flag. They had gone through like 5 agencies in the last several years, and it was recent. It was a lot of churn and burn there. But they were always in the driver's seat. So they said that they had, fired a lot of different contractors and agencies. And so that should have been my red flag to look into that, maybe get some references. Um,
But it's always nice getting the big contract, right? I mean, if you got to fast forward it, it's really hard to say no in the beginning. Probably also maybe hard to say no after you're in it because
right.
you spent all that work to get in it. So if you
Yeah.
were to replay the situation, it's really until you have already had that situation, you can't really say no until you hit that breaking
Agreed.
point,
You're
right?
right.
I mean, you need the money, and it's like it's the first time you ever hit there. You're from another optics end. It's like this is the most money we've ever made this month ever in tech. Right? How do
Right.
you say no? How do you just? It's very hard.
It's so hard. I know. I don't want to burn bridges, so I was really trying to get out of it respectfully. I think I did. I know I've heard from the client actually a couple times on social media. I know she still very much respects me. I think there's a
Mm-hmm.
level of embarrassment there. because we called her on bullshit. And I don't know if that really happens too much. But I think it's really valuable. One of the things I even speak about a lot, one of my kind of focus areas, is I've spent so much work and time in instilling boundaries in my personal life, and boundaries in work are so important. So carrying that over into both worlds, having really great boundaries at work, it matters, especially with clients. And I think when you are in a client facing company and you founded a business where you have to work your ass off to get your clients, and then you get the client and it's really lucrative, to have to realize if it's toxic or abusive and say no and fire them, it takes a lot, right? Because you're like, well, how much can I bear just because I want to keep going? I want this on my portfolio. I want the work in my resume. I want the billable. There's a lot there that you have to mess with. So it strains you mentally. And I remember I toiled with this probably for 2 months after I knew what was going on. I mean, it wasn't just a quick, okay, we're done. It was, are we though? Do we really have to? Can I fix it? I had some conversations with them, tried to figure it out. It just led nowhere. So yeah.
I think a lot of my situation, yeah, for sure. Like the second pain point I had, that we were definitely similar situation. We weren't taken advantage of. I think we were biting off too much where we can chew, right? It's like we
Yeah.
wanted the contract and we got it, but we were really not ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that put us in harsh situations. And it wasn't like, in that case, I don't blame the client actually at all. It was like, if we were bigger, it would be just way easier. It's just their expectations were just higher than what we could actually deliver. And it had nothing to do with the actual work. It was like everything around the work, the communication, the politics, the support, it's like, well, you're not the only.
I actually just had a proposal like that. And I was feeling like it was too big for us. I was putting it together and it just felt really meaty. And I thought the level of support that this client is going to expect, that we are a team of 5, right? And you're really only getting the specialist that's working on your specific creative. So we don't have customer support. We don't have a dedicated project manager and a client manager. We have me and a VA. And then we have our team of contractors. We're really lean. And so we work great with small and medium businesses. But when you're getting up to franchise level and enterprise, that's not the kind of team structure that we, hold. And so if they're looking for that support, I was putting that proposal together and I was thinking, man, I hope we don't get this because I think it would have been your example of, holy shit, we bit off way more than we could chew. Of course it was lucrative. Of course I was putting it together going, wow, like this is an incredible contract. But then I was like, are we equipped to handle what this is going to take? And if they have an issue, and I was kind of putting it together, and lo and behold, they didn't. They went with a bigger group that had, a full sales team and support and all that. And I was like, oh, thank God, because but at least I was working in gratitude. I said, at least I had the opportunity to compete on that level with another group of that size. That was actually a really neat opportunity for me.
A lot of when I was doing the whole consulting stuff, a lot of my big contracts was actually due to referral. So I didn't need to do a proposal. I was already I already kind of shortcut the line. And that's what led to like super giant contracts. And that's where it led to like, I really can't say no if the whole company or whoever's championing me in that company is saying like, we got to choose Matt's company.
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z, right? I can't be hard. Like, nope, now I'm going to turn it down. It's because like, how hard is it to earn a referral? Like it's very hard.
It's so hard, right? And so when you are referred, you'll do anything for that business because referrals are just gold and you want to be able to serve them. So it's really hard.
That's what I think like somewhere, I would say 25, I was 24, 25. So I was already doing a couple different things. I think that's the point when I was like, I don't think services will be me. I don't think that'll be my career path. I think I always use it as like to get funds. And that's what I did. Like probably from 2014 to I would say even a little bit into Chipbot's years, 2020. I depended a lot on consulting and reinvesting. I didn't like raising money. I raised money when I was doing innovative with the music distribution, right? I raised money for that, but at the same time, it was like, well, I didn't want the company to pay me because
Yeah.
that could be used for employees. So I still did consulting at night. So I would like work on
Oh,
startup during
okay.
the day, did consulting at night. Um, so I did that for a bit. So like I understand that, but like I knew long term is like, I don't want to do consulting because I'm basically either doing two things for someone else. I'm either improving their stuff and I
Mm-hmm.
get no equity out of it, or I'm cleaning up their dirty laundry, which
Mm-hmm.
like I'm not. I mean, great. I'm a glorified garbage cleaner, like or whatever, garbage pickup or whatever. And it's like I don't want to do either. And then
Yeah.
you mentioned like work life balance. If you are doing someone else's work, of course you want to balance. You want a boundary. I think where we differ is I can't separate work and life because in a product land, my employees are very much tied to my life because if I
Yeah.
don't, they got some of them got families, right? I think maybe one even has a kid. So like benefits and long term and the longevity of ensuring they get paid is very important.
Mm-hmm.
So that lives in my head even when I'm done with work.
Yeah.
What doesn't live in my head is customers because I have a product, right? So it's like if you don't like it, just cancel.
Right.
Very, very, very simple because one customer is not going to break me. And it's like if you're unhappy, like if they're unhappy because of our fault, okay, I care. But I'm gonna care in the morning when I get back to work. If
Right.
you are unhappy because you want a better deal or another competitor is doing, okay, let the market, like in my head, let market forces play out.
Mm-hmm.
Cancel, use the other product. If you're happy with them, great. If you're not, cancel and go to a different product or go back to us.
Right.
That is the difference where it's like, I don't need the separation of work-life balance anymore because all the customer stuff is already handled automatically. Like I get a customer email, there's no situation where I'm stressed. It's like none.
Mm.
You can list out whatever. Okay, you have a customer that's going to write an angry review. Okay, go write the angry review. We got tons
Yeah.
of 5-star reviews. Go ahead. Like maybe we actually need one. It looks a little nicer when it's bounced back, right?
Right. We talked
Um,
about that. Yeah.
or you have a customer, a long time customer that cancels. Like it
Yeah.
sucks, but like okay, great. We'll just find another long time customer, a
Sure.
long term customer, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't. There's nothing that stresses me out there. So the work life balance doesn't mean I don't have to separate it. It
Mm-hmm.
actually works better for me. It works better if I talk more with my wife, right? Because she comes up with ideas. Okay, okay, maybe she's a really good manager, so sometimes I'll come up with like ideas for employees. Or another situation is like sometimes when I'm playing table tennis or just like doing long walks, like I don't mind thinking about the growth of the company because it's an asset.
Mm.
I own the company. So
Right.
and when you think about all the dimensions, like services, you only think about your clients in 2 dimensions. But when you own a product, you actually think about the customer in 3 dimensions because you own the asset that they use, they consume. When you do a
Mm-hmm.
service, you don't own anything. You're really just an employee being
Right.
paid a lot of money, and it's
Right.
in the short term. It's really all it is. But when
Right.
you have your own asset, someone's using it. You have your own product, someone's using it. You get to pay attention more to the customer a little bit more because you're more interested in the small details. Services, you're never interested in the details. You're interested in here's a statement of work. Here is the terms of the contract. You just want to follow it. You don't need
Mm-hmm.
to go. There's no financial incentive to go beyond it. Maybe some people do it to get a renewal, but I
Right.
would say if you're dependent on renewal, then I question your pipeline. If you have a
Right.
good pipeline, then of course you're really going to be bending over backwards to do um, exemplary work. And I'm like, for me, it's like, no, base it off the SOW. Like I would never do free work. Like people would, anything I do is billed. I would just even 2x it if I find it annoying. It's like, here's our standard or blended rate. But if I have to get involved more than it's needed, I'm just going to say like, hey, if you want me to keep talking, like I'm going to have to charge you more. Here's a SOW amendment. And it's like, here's where my personal rate is going to kick in. If you
Right.
say no, then we disappear, and they can't say no because we're already embedded.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be happy, but I don't care if they're happy. It's a business.
Yeah.
This is where we differ a little bit. Like I go on meetings, I'm the worst person you want to talk to, but at the end of the meeting, everyone's happy because shit's getting done because they
Yeah.
compare it with all their other meetings.
We're so opposite. Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to make
Yeah.
anyone happy. Like from like from an optics end, I want to be like, you should be happy. You should be able to say you work with Matt because you can go to sleep at night. That's all.
Yeah. I
That's the
love that.
level I'm
That's
at.
your tagline.
Maybe.
I was going to tell you about a new business I was kind of being drawn to is a part of the pain management for the neck stuff. This week I've been going to a place called Sweat House, and I just found it. There's only one location in Colorado, but it's basically where you get this suite, and it's an infrared sauna, and then it's a huge tub with a cold plunge in it, so it's like 48 to 50 degrees, and then
Mhm.
it's a shower, and they do this like vitamin C infused in the water shower for everything, because when your pores are open from the sauna, you can get all the vitamin C, and so it's like a healing kind of spa experience, but it's really affordable. It's awesome. They have tons of suites. It's beautiful. The aesthetic of it's gorgeous. And then when I was looking it up online, it's a franchise, and I said, "Holy shit, I know a thing or two about franchising." And so, uh, reminder for the audience here: before I started my own businesses, I was the national brand manager for CertaPro Painters, so one of the largest residential and commercial painting franchises. That's where I was traveling all throughout North America, US, and Canada. So anyway, climbed the ranks there in marketing roles, and then eventually elevated to brand. And so in all the brand management, I know a thing or two about marketing and branding for franchises. And I will say, when I spot a franchise system that feels really easy and lucrative, I have not thought about and toyed with the idea of just going and grabbing a loan and going in with a partner and buying a franchise. So
Mhm.
I wanted to talk to them because I'm actually seriously considering owning one of these franchises, because I actually think it is so beneficial, but I don't know how saturated the sauna market is and cold plunge market is in Colorado, if they need more locations, or if there's so much to compete with here. I'm not sure, because we're really into like the natural homeopathic healing and all of the, obviously weed, marijuana, Denver, Colorado, we're here. And so everybody here is about homeopathic healing. But I will say my pain when I went to this suite a couple of days ago, let's just say I've gone every day since I've been, and I got the 14-day promo membership, and I'm going 10 times in the next 14 days to milk it. But it feels that good when you do the sauna and the cold plunge and the sauna, and you do kind of the rotation. It's
Mhm.
really taking down the inflammation and the pain. So, anywho, I'm really considering going in with a partner or two, and I've had a couple of leads already, just from the people I know. And I said, hey, I want to look into opening one of these out west, so like Golden, Lakewood, Littleton area along the Front Range, and I need to contact the franchise. But I wonder what the startup cost is. I wonder what you need to have. What's the franchise fee to buy it? I wonder the aesthetics, because you have to buy the place, right? So you have to get a loan big enough to do all the construction, because it's gorgeous. But man, just running that thing, I can't imagine it would take too long to get in the black and recoup all of your startup costs for this, because the membership level, the busyness of it, the amount of suites they have, for how many people are coming in and out. I want to see all the books. I want to see it. But I'm like, this is a really cool time for this kind of business, because it's unique in the fact that nobody's doing the infrared sauna with the cold plunge, with the shower in one suite to give you an hour in there. You can go in and do a sauna, or you can go to find a cold plunge, but you don't find them together. So I'm wondering how on the verge of this breakthrough is this needed? And also, there's a lot of people putting these in their homes, right? You see a lot of people getting those cold plunge barrels at home, and then they're making their own infrared
That'd be
sauna.
a
So
competitor of you, right? If you're buying a location versus that, right?
exactly.
Yeah. So you don't want people to have you actually be like, no, don't add in your home. It's too much.
That's
No
what
one
I'm saying. So I would want to try to find some data. I don't know where to get that, but I'm really interested in this idea. And then it just gave me the idea of maybe next year, maybe one of the businesses that I invest in is a franchise, because I
Mhm.
think franchises are so easy, and I know how to brand and market for those. So, and work with corporate to do all the things, right? So anywho, that came up, and I was like, maybe that's something that I'll do next. So who
Do your
knows?
research on the maximum amount of market, because it's location based, right? So
It is
there's it's very easy to calculate the ceiling and very easy to calculate the floor. Floor is
right,
going to be zero, but
right.
ceiling, do some research there, because there's probably a reason why they're not as, if you're saying they're not everywhere.
There is a reason. That's what I want to know, right? I want a meeting with them because I want to understand why they only have one location here. And if they're just tapped out and not expanding more, I want to know more. But I think the business model is awesome. And I experienced it as a consumer and thought, wow, this is a really cool experience. I love
Hmm.
this. How can I own some of this, right? If I'm going to partake in this, how can I own?
You should the questions that are, you can find these answers very quickly. Just
Mm-hmm.
ask the last 3 locations that close. Why do they close?
Yeah,
It's very easy. Like then you can get a very quick shortcut of like the reasoning.
that's a great place to go. Yeah. So let's say this: if you could own a franchise, what would it be?
I want to own a franchise because
Why?
I can't control the market dynamics, right? The whole purpose of a franchise is the parent company controls the marketing. You
Mm-hmm.
often would control the marketing,
Yeah.
and you are just operating, and that's the whole benefit of a franchise. You don't have to do 100% everything. You can
Right.
split between who's going to handle the market and who's going to operate. I'm sure there
Mm-hmm.
are models where they're also reverse,
Yeah.
where the franchise owner is actually in charge of marketing, but
Sure.
like that's I need full control because the second I disagree with something, like okay, I got a million bosses to worry about, and
You're right.
I don't want to I want to handle that shit. And like
Yeah.
markets change, but corporations move very slow. So like the second there is friction where like I want to change quickly, but someone else doesn't want to, well, that's just gonna make me this is gonna turn me off, and I'll be like, okay. So I wait for you. I'll go on vacation for 12 months. Like I'm just gonna coast until you decide to do something, and
Maybe I'll just
that's a waste. That's a waste of a year.
maybe I'll just replicate it now that I've tasted the goods. Maybe I'll just go because I do have my personal trainer. I told him about it and he said, "Wait, if you really do this, let's talk because there are some really great boutique models coming up that are similar where it's a gym, it's a small boutique gym, so it's not a big box gym. And then you have within that gym the restorative practices. So you have like a personal trainer or a physical therapist, and then you have some homeopathic people there that are serving different remedies for healing. And then you have the cold plunges, you have the infrared saunas, and all of that is a part of your gym experience. I know that
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of athletic clubs that are putting infrared saunas in and cold plunges in as a part of recovery after lifting, which is actually very scientifically proven that it does help your muscles restore.
Oh, absolutely.
So it'd be kind of an interesting concept if we just opened our own thing and went in with 2 or 3 different people and we all had our different specialties and branded it and made our own thing and competed. That could be something that I'm interested in.
There's a lot, especially like I don't know about Colorado, but I know there's like my group of friends. It's very anecdotal, but like my group of friends, we're like now getting more health conscious because I've been doing a lot of table. I don't know what's happening, but I do a lot of table tennis, and it spreads a little bit. Like people like, oh, you eat healthy, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna do it too. And then like we just start
Mm-hmm.
having like over the years, just start having different conversations of like how to improve health.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to the gym or you do like competition or even just like just hardcore and recreational sports, you do need recovery. Like this
Yes.
whole week, my recovery sucks, and I'm paying for it during the week because like
Mm.
my muscles are like really tight, and like no
Matt,
massage is working.
Matt, you are nearing 40. Welcome, my friend.
I'm
We all joke about
35.
this. We all joke about this. When you near 40, okay, you start really focusing on protein. You start really focusing on movement and recovery, and you
Yep.
really focus on how to care for your body so that you can keep moving in that way. That is
Yep.
exactly what you're talking about. We are all there. And this neck thing, this little pain in the ass that I'm dealing with, I think was my body's way of saying, yo, Ann, you're 41. You can't just slip into the gym for a 45-minute lift the way that you lift and lift all this heavy shit. Cause I love heavy weightlifting, right? You can't just like go in and dominate this workout and then leave. You have to. My recovery sucks. I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
My recovery game is not great. And I used to get away with it. And I have been kind of skirting by, not in a great way. And this massive injury is a way of saying, no, we're done. You're not stretching. You're not cooling down. You're not walking. You're not foam rolling. Every time you lift, you're not, doing your lacrosse ball stuff. Like you're not even doing any cold remedies or sauna remedies, like just nothing. I think that's my body's way of saying if we're going to keep performing at this level, your dance classes, like when snowboarding season's coming, right? I go for 4 to 6 hours. Like that's a toll on your body. it's like, no, it's giving me the middle finger. It's like, we're
Here-
not doing this. So,
So I kind of just got the idea of maybe why your that franchise idea, why there's not enough of those
okay,
franchises with like the recovery.
let's hear it.
Because at the core of everything, stretching and just taking breaks solves about 80% of that.
Mm-hmm.
If you really think about it, and especially depending on where the economy and macroeconomics are,
Yeah.
to be a membership to say, I'm going to pay for recovery and I got to pay for a gym and I got to pay for whatever
Mm-hmm.
other. If you think
You're right.
about it, what gets cut first is recovery. Because at the end of the day, is like, well, just play less. Just stretch more.
We'll do whatever's easy, right? We have to get the workout in because that's what's going to burn the calories to keep the fat off so that we're not miserable about what we're eating, right? But the recovery isn't going to give us that benefit, but the recovery is going to allow us to work out better and stronger, but we're often going to cheat it and not pay for that.
Going beyond your limit, right? So there's two ways when you think about training. You're either maintaining baseline or you're trying to go past your limit. If you're trying to go past your limit, recovery is super important. Like it's really, really, really important. And it's like, you almost gotta have it if you're going to keep training really hard to keep improving.
Right.
If you are maintaining, no, you could totally 100% get by with just simple stretching, alternate with other exercises, like running or just some type of cardio, and just take breaks. You're not trying to go beyond, you're trying to maintain what you can do. So it's very easy to just say, hit the same rep count with the amount of sets you're doing. And it's like, it's not that hard. So then it's really easy to say, why do I need a cold plunge if I'm not going crazy with my muscle? Like I'm just maintaining my current body. So that's what it is when table tennis. When table tennis, like all summer, I wasn't trying to grow. I was actually trying to improve my floor, which is just basically just improve my baseline. I'm not trying to go beyond the skill level. I'm just trying to like, I want to come in the sport and like, I'm already at this level. I'm not down here where I have to warm up. And in that case, recovery doesn't mean much. It's actually more about relaxation.
Yeah.
And just being able and stretching and being able to have very quick activation. Like, and once I this whole summer, I improved that. I did improve the floor a lot. Now it's like, I can come in and I'm just chill out. If I don't recover the next day, as long as I don't play super hard and going beyond my limit or going very close to it, I don't really need to do crazy recovery. I just need to take a break and just make sure I stretch at the end of the exercise or at the end of the sport, and then make sure to stretch again when I come back into it. That's it. And I feel like that's maybe where that it's disadvantaged to have that franchise, because it's like there's an economic part to it. It's not a requirement.
You're right. Yeah. And I think it's more cost effective for people to just put them in their house at this point. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of my friends just put them in their house, and it's because they don't want to have that membership. So yeah, perhaps it's past its prime. Perhaps this was a year or 2 or 3 ago when we were all kind of on the cusp of, these cold plunges and everything, but maybe just now it's just too saturated.
No. So this is why I don't like franchises, because you can sell anything. Very easy to sell anything. So it's like, if you put a great story and a great narrative to visiting a location that does high performance recovery, and you make it like, you make them feel, I don't know if they can feel bad, but if you didn't go, you would feel bad.
Right.
Then you have a whole different situation. Like, then that's a very desirable business, right? You have a flywheel. So it just depends. This is why I love business, because you can make any model work you just got to make sure you have the right market, right? You can't put one of these in I doubt something like this wouldn't work well in the back country where no one really goes to gym, right? Right. This would work well maybe in like New York City, where like, tons of folks going to the gym. People can afford the extra recovery, and it's like you can have these different tiers or different structures of like, do you want a quick recovery? Do you want long recovery? Depending on what you're doing. Yeah. And that is like, I think you can make it work. So I wouldn't discount
it just yet. Yeah. I was thinking too, more we're on my side of town on the west side. So Golden, Lakewood, Littleton, it is, location is right in the city in Denver. It's right 10 minutes from my office on Broadway. But I'm thinking when you get out into the burbs a little bit more, you're actually getting more of your target audience because you are getting the people with more money, more income. They're older demographics, they're parents, they are investing in protein, gym, they're in their 40s and 50s, and they care about recovering. And that's where I was thinking, oh, there isn't a location in the burbs, but I wanted to look at competitive analysis of what other sauna, cold plunge, medical recovery, whatever kind of spas there are out there. I wanted to look at that because they don't have a location outside of the city. I wonder why. But I loved the model of it. I loved the name. I loved the branding. For me to love the branding of something, by the way, is a lot. So when I love branding, it gets my attention because I'm really picky about branding. I'm really picky about the story, the aesthetic, the name, how they put it together. That's where I actually am very skeptical. And if I think that something's off about the branding, I'm like, whatever, I could have done it better. But then if I love it, I'm like, oh, they're clever. I love they're intentional. The branding of this is sharp. I really like this. So that is kind of my first sign into buying a license or a franchise of a business if I love the branding. So anyway, I don't know. I'm going to have to do some research on it. But here's the thing. This goes back to my financial episode, a couple episodes, by the way, ago, where I talk about investing and getting smarter with your finances. But I'm going to say his name again. So if you are interested in learning more about really great money tips, Robert Kroak, Croak. He is a kind of thought leader in the financial space on social media that I follow. And he's been awesome at giving little quick bites of how to become a smart investor, how to even get started, how to even learn about becoming wealthy, or what are some steps to even just have a great budget, those types of things. And so my husband and I are really into that. And one of the things Robert always says is if you're going to consume a brand, you also have to think about investing in it. So be not just a consumer, but invest. And so when I'm thinking about it, like I have bond funds with Apple and Meta and Nike, and like I have a bunch of corporate fractional bond funds with a bunch of the companies that I consume. And so if I'm going to be a consumer, I want to also be an investor. And so I do that on Public. Public has a great app, and it's just like really accessible for people to get into stocks, crypto, treasuries, bonds, all of it. And then they teach you a lot too. So anyway, the thought process is if I'm going to consume something, I'm naturally in the thought process of how can I invest in it as well and gain from it. And so if I am enjoying this product or service, how can I invest in it? And if it's not public and you can't own any part of the shares or stocks or bond funds with it, then what do you do?
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm coming at this with, well, how hard would it be to start a franchise? Like this type of thing, it's not a service. It's not a painting franchise. Gosh, that's so hard because you're having to hire crews and then you have to go out and you actually have to do labor for money. This is literally a spot. It's like a product. Here we are. We're a pin on the map. This is what we offer. Yes, it's a service, but it's like a product because you're selling a membership. So it's really just memberships that you're selling. You sell the shit out of those memberships. People come to you. You don't go anywhere. And it's not time for money. I own the location. I have staff. And then you just market to get memberships and people come in and use it. It's like a product, right? So,
hold on. You're making it sound like it's easier. No, for everything you gain, there's a big sacrifice somewhere else, right? So the reason why maybe the other business that time for labor, you don't like doing it, but there's a reason why that can be also lucrative because it's a very high bar to get in. Right. And then and no one wants to do that work either. So even better, right? So the competition gets lower and lower and lower and lower. To be as an owner or operator of that, if you're going with this business model and you're looking at and comparing it, what is easy, what is hard, what is the number one sacrifice that makes that business extremely difficult then? Because there's no free lunch. It's never a free lunch.
That's true. I mean, if you don't have enough memberships, your location is going to be drowning because you have rent to pay.
Say your location. How many people are in that location? Just pick a number, like maybe like 50,000 people that are potential memberships in the area. Okay. Say you get your first 1,000. First year is amazing. Next year, economic crash. So you're going to see a big. How do you make up for that?
Yeah. What else could that business do if people are not buying memberships at that time of year?
But you can only go within the scope of the franchise.
Right. There's a ceiling. The ceiling is lower because it's a franchise. And also, you're a location that people have to come visit. You're not a mobile service. You can't go out and get more business if it sucks. You can't change the business model and shift and evolve due to market demand.
Eventually, you'll
You're
saturate
stuck.
the 50,000 folks that are to see you, and then eventually,
You're right.
once you turn once, like they're probably like, "Well, I was fine after."
And how replicable is that, right? It's really just for massive pain management, and then just kind of a nice to have, maybe on a monthly or a weekly basis, which is what their memberships cover, right? Come in once a week, and it's a nice to have. But how much, if you're looking at your finances, would you say, "Yeah, we don't need this"? How easy is it to cut if you're not like me, where you're working through an injury and you're doing daily pain management? It almost needs to be attached to like a PT office or a chiropractic office or some business that is going to already be having a pipeline of injured people.
Which that your market is now shrinking and shrinking.
It's shrinking and shrinking. Right? You're right, because
you do not want to be part of like, you got to be an injury to use our services. No,
right.
That's not where the money's at.
Yeah, I know. This is great. I'm glad we're breaking this down. These pain points, man. It is interesting, the pain points in businesses. There is a ceiling on it, right? And if it is a standalone location on its own, I mean, you have to be bringing people there to engage with it. And after you've tapped out, like 3 years in, how do you get net new?
So there's like that. Once you hit your, I think the reach. In my world, I work in something called TAM, total addressable market. Mm-hmm. In your case, it could be. If there's 50,000 people, I would imagine the TAM is maybe only 1,000 of those people. Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to, I don't know the total research of who would use, because personally, I would not use this. I have a foam roller.
Yeah.
I stretch and I do like massage, like those three things.
You know what, Matt? If I weren't in pain management, I wouldn't be using this either.
Right. So like, 50,000 people living in the suburb in that area. 1,000, maybe less, right? So you get 100. So say you get 100 memberships. You already reached maybe 10% of who your true audience is.
Yeah.
And then the second you get a downturn, you lost half of that. Well, what the other folks, like now you got to try even, like if your initial marketing, you didn't reach them, now you got to try even harder to reach them, and you're already in the red.
Yeah. Interesting.
Right? And then eventually it's just
what do you do with it? And because it's a franchise, there's no creative freedom to pivot and evolve and do something and add a service, add something on that makes it more interesting to your existing clients.
It depends, because that goes into your other philosophy, is you reinvest in the brand. So if you believe in the company that you franchise from and you're reinvesting, maybe not monetary after that point, might be sweat equity in terms of like you want to be more involved with the brand. Then you could argue that because you invest at the higher level, you believe in where it's going. And it's not a matter of, I need to control anything. I just need to, trust the other people that are controlling distribution, controlling marketing will figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating, right? Well, that's it for today's episode of OnlyFounders. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Ann.